Holy fucking shit, I need a haircut badly, baby. We're getting on Friday. But bit of a flyweight scrap going on here. Brandon Royval versus Manel Kape. I don't like the fact that we're seeing December fights already. It doesn't really sit well with me, the fact that we're nearly in 2026 when Nuketown 2025 should have been happening right now. But still, my boy Manel Kape liked this, so big on Manel Kape. But this is a rebooking in the flyweight division. And I'm very kind of like happy that this has been announced. We're just never going to get Kai France versus Manel Kape at this stage. I think us as UFC fans just need to understand that. Brandon Royval, will start with him, came off literally one of the greatest fights in UFC history against Joshua Van. It was actually one of the greatest fights I've ever seen, okay? Joshua Van's going to be next for Pantoja. I'm just going to check something here real quick with Manel Kape. But Joshua Van's going to be next for Pantoja. That's probably... This is a fight night, so usually they do like... Pantoja was on the December card last year. I think that fight kind of makes sense. Joshua Van's kind of teasing it. Plus, I feel like we don't really know if we're going to be getting an Ilya Topuria before the end of the year, which kind of does worry me, but it is what it is. The fact that Ilya might not come back until next year, even though he took absolutely fucking zero damage, and he fought up a weight class, so he really should be fighting in November. To be honest with you, could have fought in Abu Dhabi if we're being completely honest here, but new fans will just realize the old activity just isn't the same. Fucking pisses me off, but still, Royval literally one of the greatest fights ever against Joshua Van. He just about lost. Joshua Van took down like a week's notice as well, which probably honestly won him the fight, if we're being completely honest with you, because he kind of got Royval on the hop. He went in there with nothing to lose and fought like it. Royval was preparing for Manel Kape, actually, which is funny. So he's probably fighting for a different stylistic fight. Joshua Van was kind of bursting on the scene. I wouldn't rule Brandon Royval out just yet. I'm actually going to pick Royval in this fight because real G's of this channel know why. Let me know down below if you actually know why I'm picking Brandon Royval. Let's see if you're a real fan of this channel, okay? If you are, you will... I would actually shout you out in my next video if you understand why I picked Brandon Royval. There's one main reason. There's one main reason. If you know, you fucking know. But still, I think Royval's going to be getting in Manel Kape's face. Kape's quite slick on the feet. I like Kape striking. Man, I just wanted the Kai France fight. Is that too much? Is that too much to ask for in this world? So he beat Bruno Silva. He beat Azu Albermavi. He lost to Muhammad Makayev, which was one of the worst fights ever. So he's been booked Royval twice now. I didn't actually know that. So this is going to be a third time lucky. Manel Kape has had fucking so many fights just cancelled throughout the years. Brandon Royval's been at the top for so long. He slipped up against Pantoja for the belt. He slipped up against Joshua Van. Apart from that, though, you're not really losing anyone. You lose to Brandon Moreno with an injury. But apart from that, you've only lost to Pantoja and Joshua Van. And you didn't really lose to Brandon Moreno, if we're being completely honest with you. Like, you got the injury, and you redeemed the loss on short notice as well. So you could argue before the Joshua Van fight, there's no argument, actually. The only person that Royval had lost to was Pantoja, and he's beaten, Brandon Moreno. He's beaten Kai France. He's beaten, he was scheduled for Askar Askarov. That was a fight now that got away. I would have loved to have seen Askar Askarov versus Brandon Royval. I was really fucking excited for that. That would have been an absolute scrap. But he's kind of beaten the who's who of the division. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's always been an underdog. Like, he beat Matt Schnell, he beat Bonserine, beat Kai France, he beat Mateus Nikolai. He beat Tattoo Terrari as well. He's just slipping up against Pantoja. That's all he's been slipping up against. And I feel like Manel Kape hasn't really got that massive win yet where I can really pick him and say, oh, yeah, you're going to beat Royval. Now, I said the same thing about Joshua Van, but Joshua Van goes in there and fights a little bit different. Kape's going to be a little bit more cautious. I feel like Kape's going to use Royval's going to use his range in this fight. Sorry, I should say Royval. And I think Kape really needs to get in his face at moments, but he needs to pick his moments. Because when he's in, Royval's extremely dangerous. Royval's got good knees. He knocked out, who was it? He knocked out Mateus Nikolai, I think, with the knee. There was Mateus. He got him with that class knee. He hit Kai France with like a spinning elbow when he got dropped in their first fight. In their only fight, actually, that's the only time they've ever fought, I believe. So he's got dangerous things up against the pocket, and he's dangerous on the feet. Like, he moves forward and gets in your face. So This is just a fucking scrap. Like, I fucking love everything about this fight. This is what flyweights should be about. This is what flyweights about. I love both of these guys. Manel Kape's so fucking entertaining. I remember he called a bunch of people faggots and shit like that in the crowd. On the Australia card, like he was just an absolute menace on that card. And Royval's a bit more humble, bit more kind of like stoic. Like he's. I really like Brandon Royval. I really like Brandon Royval. I'm waiting for someone to say it. So one day someone will say it, and yeah, I won't say what I won't say. I want to say it, but I won't say it. But the flyweight division's kind of like I wouldn't even say Joshua Van is our only hope because no one's beating Pantoja. No one's beating Pantoja, and I'm gonna say it now. I'm gonna fucking say it now, and I'm gonna check Ashley with the record. Alexandre Pantoja is higher on the GOAT list than Anderson Silva. Okay, now we're gonna break down Anderson Silva's record here. Now, before I'm good, let me get Tapology up here real quick. I thought about this the other day. So he's 34 wins and 11 losses. What's that? Like 45 MMA fights or some shit like that. Like he's got a lot of fights and he's got a lot of wins. 20 KOs. He's won 17 wins and 7 losses in the UFC. So you lose to Uriah Hall, you lose to Jared Cannonier, injury but still. You lose to DC, you lose to Israel Adesanya, you lose to Michael Bisping, you lose to Chris Weidman twice. You beat Stefan Bonner, you beat Chael Sonnen, you beat Hushi Alkami, you beat Vitor Belfort, you beat Chael Sonnen, you beat Damian Maia, you beat Forrest Griffin, you beat Talius Leatis, you beat Patrick Coe, James Irvin, Dan Henderson, Ricky Franklin, Travis Luter. And then you lose to like people that outside the UFC as well. You know what I mean? Those names that I've just listed off, where are they going to be now in the UFC? Where is Chael Sonnen really going to be in the UFC now? In the division? Where is Forrest Griffin lining up? Nasruddin Imavov would knock out Forrest Griffin. Caio Borralho would finish Forrest Griffin. You know, and Patrick Cote as well. You know, James Irvin. Alexandre Pantoja is literally double lapping the division just for the crack now. And he's got, you know, he beat Kaya Sakura, beat Royval, he beat Moreno, beat Kai France. I honestly would say that the quality of opponent now is so much far superior. It's the same thing with John Jones. It's so much far superior to what these guys were fighting back in the day that Pantoja is actually higher on the GOAT list than Anderson Silva. And you could debate me all you want. All you Anderson Silva fanboys, you do realize he lost to Michael Bisping. I just want to say that. And this wasn't massively past his prime, Anderson Silva. Yes, you might have thought, and let's not forget, he nearly knocked him out at the end of the round, at the end of the bell. He was a dirty roid cheat as well. Well, we can keep going here. We can keep going here. The quality of opponent that Pantoja's fought for his division is better than Anderson Silva's. Like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.